There's an interesting scene in Acts chapter 21 where we learn something, or at least we get a glimpse into questions about disagreement and the role of the Holy Spirit. What's happening is Paul is on his way to Jerusalem. He has made it clear to everybody around him that he has to go to Jerusalem, but that he expects hardship, arrest, and that it's clear that Paul is going to die soon at this stage in his life. And so he's going to Jerusalem amidst great sadness among those who are with him. And we pick up the story in Acts 21 in verse 4, where Paul has landed at the city of Tyre, not far at all from Jerusalem. The author writes, "We looked at the disciples and stayed there for 7 days," other Christians who were in Tyre. "Through the Spirit, they told Paul not to go on to Jerusalem. When our days there were ended, we left and proceeded on our journey, and all of them, with wives and children, escorted us outside the city. There we knelt down on the beach and prayed and said farewell to one another. Then we went on board the ship, and they returned home." Pretty ordinary scene. It's hard to tell what's going on and why it's even in here, why it's important. But I'm really interested in this line, "Through the Spirit they told Paul not to go to Jerusalem," and what that means. Paul has made it clear that the Holy Spirit has told him he's got to go to Jerusalem, that the Spirit is guiding all of this. And now some other believers, through the Spirit, try to dissuade Paul from going to Jerusalem. So who's right? Who is really reading the Spirit correctly? Who is really talking about the Spirit in a faithful, honest way when they think about their motives and what's right for Paul and what's right for Paul's ministry? And I don't think there's any reason to assume that they can't both be right. These are people who are eagerly trying to keep Paul alive, don't want him to go, and even through the Spirit are trying to make their case. Paul, of course, doesn't listen to them, or he listens to them, but he doesn't obey them. He goes on to Jerusalem, where he'll be arrested and eventually taken to Rome as a prisoner. But look what happens. Even though they disagree about how to read the Spirit here regarding Paul, they still leave in this amicable way. They go outside the city, and there's this very tender scene. We knelt down on the beach and prayed and said farewell to one another. Even though there's perhaps deep disagreement, through the Spirit, Paul makes his decision and the other people support him and say, go your way. Maybe there's some kind of a model there for Christian disagreement, that when we're reading the Spirit in different ways, it's not about, well, you go your way and I go my way and we're done, or that somebody's got to be right and somebody's got to be wrong. Maybe there's a way here. Maybe there's a way in which this story emphasizes and even validates different readings of the Spirit and acknowledges how hard it is to do that, and how so much of the Christian life is perhaps around competing passions and around competing understandings of what does the Spirit mean. And perhaps sometimes the best we can do is to kneel together and pray together and wish each other Godspeed